Welcome back here to Mountain Connections. I'm very excited to be joined by two gentlemen from Nexus ITC here to talk about securing both your business and your work computers. You know, the great thing about having a computer is that all of your data can be centralized, but one of the bad things about it is you can lose all of that data pretty easily as well. So here to talk about that is Earl Foote, the CEO of Nexus ITC, and we have Mr. Travis Gunn here as well. How are you two doing today?
Great. Fantastic, Diego.
Always a pleasure to see both of you guys. So let's talk about this. Securing both your personal and business computers. What's the best way to do it?
That's a really complex question, and it's a really complex answer, right? And I don't want to get too far in the weeds. You know, one of the best things that you can possibly do to secure your data is to educate yourself about the threats that are out there and how to avoid them, right? Particularly in a business, there's really great like online education modules that you can have your team members go through. They're really affordable, like 25, 30 bucks a year, and will really teach people about what the cybersecurity landscape looks like out there, what cyber threats look like, and how to spot them and not fall prey. Because in today's world, like 95 to 98% of all breaches, they involve a user clicking on something or doing something that they should not do.
It's like 9 times out of 10, it's like phishing, right? Is what happens. And the people, a lot of the time, it's from what looks like a trusted source, someone that you've been emailing, maybe a company that you've been emailing and exchanging correspondence with regularly, could come up, and a very simple click of a link can kind of ruin everything.
It can ruin everything, literally, and really cause you some massive havoc within your organization, or with your own personal life, if you're talking about your personal computer.
And one of the things to take into consideration with this is people oftentimes assume, if I have some sort of a cloud backup type service that I'm using, that it just automatically backs up the computer, right? And they're still saving files to. We're all the king of it. I'm just going to save it to my desktop, right? Because it's easy and I can see it, right? But unless you set your cloud backup service to back up your desktop, then it's not backing that up, right? We had a great client who yesterday, he called and he said, hey, I'm leaving, I'm going to Europe for 2.5 weeks, but I'm going to be working. And I want to make sure that, in the event that I go and, heaven forbid I lose my laptop or my luggage gets lost or what have you, I want to make sure that, number one, my data's safe. Is my backup, or my backup still going to happen when I'm gone? One. And number two, what if I lose it? Right? How do I make sure that my machine is secure or locked? And that could be your personal or your work computer, right? And so we checked and made sure he was good and gave him some advice, and he feels great traveling. And it's still inexpensive, right? The goal is just have a plan, make sure that it's done right, and then you're off to the races.
And you're off to the races there, and educate yourself about the risks as well. I know, as we said, phishing is the most common. What are some of the other ways that people have intrusion on the personal level, I guess you could say, rather than a business level? I think when people think of cybersecurity, they think of some crazy complex CIA cyber, espionage operation, but it's so much more simple than that. And people actually getting into your personal security and personal information can be much easier than anything like that.
Yeah, and really, I think for most people's personal computers that are compromised at this point, generally it's going to involve some type of malware, more often than not a ransomware, and usually it's because they've clicked on something, they've opened an attachment in an email that is nefarious, that looked like a trusted source, as you had mentioned. Maybe it's a website, maybe it's a website that they go to all the time, and it's it's a trusted website, but hackers now do malvertising. They put up, these advertisements that look absolutely legit, but when you click on them, they will infect your computer. And so, oftentimes, or more often than not, it's because they have, they've clicked on something that they shouldn't click on. That infects the computer with a malware or a ransomware. A ransomware will demand money to get the data back. It encrypts the data and then demands money to get the data back. But at the same time, hackers oftentimes will deliver a payload that gives them access to all of your information for a time period before they even let you know that they're there, right? And so they might install a keylogger that would log all of your keystrokes. And so when you go to your bank website and your credit card and you put in your usernames and your passwords and all that. Now,
recording all of that information.
yeah, it's giving all that information to the hacker, and
Wow.
now they have all that information. Sometimes they're resident on your system for months at a time before they finally, deliver the ransomware payload and let you know, I'm here, and now I want you to pay me now that I've, taken all of this, important, sensitive private information. And we didn't really talk about it, but certainly having a good, robust, legitimate anti-malware or antivirus is going to be very important, besides your own education. And you need what's now referred to as next generation antivirus or next generation anti-malware.
And what entails?
Yeah, so next generation anti-malware is intelligent. It uses AI, it uses behavior analysis rather than just simple definitions. It understands what malicious activity looks like,
I see.
and then it blocks it. And sometimes it can reverse it if it's trying to encrypt your system with ransomware. If you have a more sophisticated next generation anti-malware.
Old antivirus systems, they used to have these programs that it would be the virus is released, the antivirus companies write a code to stop it.
Yep.
Now, these intelligent learning, it just basically sits on your computer and goes, we know what these programs do. Okay, that program's acting a little bit weird.
Bizarre.
Let's grab it for a minute and just make sure that it's not doing anything malicious. And
So
as a result, it'll stop it.
It has the chance of catching it before, which is a great thing. And I just got to say, you have a great way of terrifying me, sir. I didn't realize that a malware could be active for months at a time before you even realize that it's there. So we talked about ways that you can kind of prevent it. What happens when you're in that moment? You've discovered that there is ransomware. You discovered that there is malware. What do? I think the first step is to panic and probably want to pay because you want to get your data back. But there are ways that there are steps you can take.
And Travis alluded earlier to the importance of backups, and really a good backup can save you a whole lot of heartache and headache. And many people think that backups are a set it and forget it type of thing. Can't tell you how many times, we're a 20-year-old company. I can't tell you how many times over 20 years we've walked into situations where somebody set up some backups 2 years ago and decided we're good to go, we're all backed up, right? And they get a ransomware, and we take a look and we say, guys, we're really sorry, but your backups haven't worked for a year, right?
Wow.
And so they become essentially useless. So it's important to always validate your backups, make sure that they're working. To your question, the first thing that you need to do if you get a malware that's on your computer is shut your computer down, right? If you are comfortable with beginning, some analysis and disinfection process, then go for it. If not, get a professional involved to help you, particularly if you're a business and it's your business data.
Yes.
And now in today's world, we have government compliance regulations, and if you've had client data that's been breached or your team members' data, HR data that's been breached, you have an obligation to be a good steward of that data and to disclose that information to the people who are involved. And you have to be extremely careful about the process. So most certainly, if you're a business, get a professional involved as soon as you can.
And speaking about professionals, how can people get a hold of Nexus ITC and your guys' expertise?
Yeah, locally here in Park City at 435-487-9099 or nexusitc.net.
Excellent. Earl and Travis, thank you very much. As always, really appreciate your advice. And again, you scared me a little bit. I'm going to go home and back up my computer right away for sure. That's for sure. Be sure and check them out at nexusitc.net. And definitely back up your computer after today's talk. You're going to want to do so. We'll be right back with much more right after this short break.